Okay, in this question, you look through, you've got a formula. One of the first things you should be looking for here is that both of them say that they are correct to three significant figures. So I mean your first mark comes from noticing this. So Nathan's car, if it's to three significant figures, your lower bound here is 147.5 and the biggest number that could be is 148.5. That is your lower bound and your upper bound. Something which I think already came up earlier in this paper discussing bounds. The car used was 11.8 litres of petrol, correct to three significant figures, so that could be a lower bound of 11.75 and an upper bound of 11.85. And then Nathan says my car used less than 8 litres of petrol per 100 kilometres. Alright, so petrol consumption, using this formula up here, a lot of you just went straight in and did 100 times by 148, because you've seen that in the question, divided by, hold on, wrong way around, 100 times by 11.8, and then you put the number of kilometres underneath and just done 148. Now if you do that in your calculator, if I can find it, here we go. So if we do 100 times by 11.8 all over, let's try that again, 100 times by 11.8 all over 148, that gives you 7.972 roughly. Okay, so that is less than 8. So at the moment, people who only did that, they've completely missed the idea of the bounds, and they then go on to state, could Nathan be wrong? No, Nathan's right, it is less than 8. Now, if you're unsure in a question like this with bounds, you can try different combinations. You can try doing, because, I mean, if it's to do with bounds, you should know that you're going to be using these. So actually using 11.8 and 148, I'm just giving you an example of how you might work it out, is actually completely wrong. You want to start thinking about how I can use my bounds to see whether or not you can get over 8. Now the way in which you can get it above 8 is by making the top number as big as possible, so times in by 11.85, and then dividing by the smallest possible number. So 100 times by 11.85 on the top, that's the bigger version of what I can use for my amount of petrol, and then the bottom number 147.5 or 148.5. If I want this to be as big as possible, if I want to see whether it goes above 8, I've used the bigger number on the top, sorry. I'm going to put the smaller version on the bottom. If I divide by a smaller number, it's gonna give me my biggest possible outcome. So 100 times by 11.85, and then divide by 147.5, which I've just done on my calculator. And this time it gives you something that looks like this, so 8.033898, etc. Alright, so if you tried a few other combinations, if you didn't get straight to that, let's say you had some other bits of working out where you'd done 11.75 and you'd put 1485 on the bottom, or any other combination. It doesn't matter if you've tried other ones. So in an exam, if you're not sure, try different combinations, because as long as you get to the bit, I mean, common sense will tell you that to get the biggest possible outcome, you want the biggest number, the biggest option on the top, and then the smaller number out of the two on the bottom. But as long as you get to this, and then you can say, could Nathan be wrong? So remember, it's one of those again where you have to actually answer the question, could Nathan be wrong? The number is not the answer to that. So even if you've got this, you then need to say, yes, it is possible. Not definite, because we don't know exactly what these values were, because we've got bounds up here. We know that it lies in between this and this. We know that the amount of petrol lies in between this and this, so we're not sure for definite, but yes, it is possible.